Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Bill?
Hello, sir.
How are you, Bill?
I am quite all right. How are you?
Do you drive a Ford F-150?
Coincidentally, I do not. I drive a Chevy Colorado.
How can you drive a Chevy Colorado when your name is Ford?
Because my name is Bill Ford drives a Chevy.
Is that you laughing, Wally?
Yeah, that was coming from.
I see.
Are we piped into the green room?
Yeah. Wally, you're in the green room. You can't hear us.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, I know, but we don't see. We're introducing you. See, that's a.
Oh,
You gotta sit back and just eat some shrimp.
Boy, these are.
Are we gonna take?
These are quality podcasts, aren't they, Derek?
Take two?
We're going exactly according to script, too.
Yeah,
so whoever took
exactly.
the time to write this.
I know.
I know we have a committee of writers, but this is impressive work.
Yeah, this is very similar to the old Steve Allen show, or Mel Brooks and all those guys are the writers, and they spend hours, days and days writing the script, and then we do a table read, and everybody
focus group testing.
The table read earlier today was fantastic, by the way.
Yeah, that seemed to go really well. And then there's the dress rehearsal, but that's always so casual. And but then you got to tell the crew not to laugh in the wrong spots, like if you flub a line or something like that.
The problem is we're naturally funny, but not every single line is meant to be funny.
What is Bill doing now? Or Wally doing now?
No, that wasn't me.
That wasn't me.
I thought the curtain was going back.
Yeah.
To start, we're going to do this all over again.
Yeah, we don't do over agains. We don't have any over agains. We only have a lottery of a certain amount of time, and we don't have time for over agains.
Editing is not in the budget.
Yeah, we can't afford editing.
We spent all of our budget on the table read.
Yeah, exactly. We spent all of our budget on the table.
That was a heck of a table.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we still got it. It's a folding table. It stows away nice. All right. So, Wally, how do you pronounce your last name?
Swaitly.
Swaitly.
Yeah, the I is pretty much silent.
Silent Q?
Yeah. Is the Q silent?
I'm lost.
Attaboy. So are we. That's an old AML Nation joke from like 10 years ago. The Q is silent because there is no Q, you see. Anyways, Bill, you were the one that discovered Wally Swaitly.
Yes, sir.
The I is silent. So it's SWIATLY. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
So it's SWAT and then a Lee. That's like
Swaitly.
People want to know how to pronounce my name, and it's like it's ST with the word rang, like your telephone rang, strang.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's no E on the end. Do you see an E on the end? I don't see an E on the end. So, okay, Bill, how did you find Wally? You found him on YouTube. So this particular episode of A Modeler's Life, our guest tonight is Wally Swaitly, and our pal, our longtime listener, Bill Ford. Say hi, Bill.
Hello, Bill.
Say hi, Derek.
Hi, Derek.
Yeah, so we have Bill Ford. We have Bill Ford. This guy's an easy crowd.
Maybe I should put mute on.
Yeah. So we have Bill Ford and Derek Magnotta. And am I pronouncing that right, Derek? Is it Magnotta?
That's right.
Okay. So anyways, Bill, you approached me and said, hey, I think we should interview Wally because he's got a really interesting YouTube channel.
Yes, and I actually found him on Facebook before I found his YouTube back in 2021.
And what's his Facebook page for all of our home listeners there?
Well, I found him because I was a member of N-Scale Model Railroading.
Okay.
Which is a Facebook page.
What's N-Scale?
I have no idea.
I am an easy crowd.
Yes, Wally. Yes, you are.
I think I've finally woke up here,
Attaboy.
everybody.
Attaboy. So what's your? Let's ask Wally. What's your Facebook page?
You mean just? I don't.
This is.
have YouTube.
Let's start from this beginning. This is a podcast about model railroading.
Yeah, I
It's
don't.
called
really
called the Modeler's Life, and it's primarily about model railroading. Lately, we've veered off into things like RC planes and painting wargaming figures and stuff like that. But primarily, 95% of the time, it's model railroading. And so you're a very talented model railroader, which is what Bill pointed out to me. And then I thought, hey, you might have a Facebook page about your model railroad.
I don't, which is really interesting. I've been thinking about it lately, but I've been on so many groups that I just love sharing there. And I noticed that some of the guys in these groups, like the N Scale Model Railroading or ON30 or HO, they have their own pages, and I don't have one of those yet, but I do have a YouTube channel.
Okay, so
Currently.
primarily if people want to see your stuff, they would go to your YouTube channel, which is Wally's Model Railroading.
Correct.
Right. Yep. And currently it has 928 subscribers, and we're going to try to double that in the next week. After this airs, after this broadcast airs, we're going to try to double it in the next week.
I'll take it.
All right.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Well, we are going to interview a fella, Chris Wallace, who has Wallace Locomotive Works, and just one mention on a podcast, and he said he was getting more orders just from being mentioned on a podcast.
Well, that's really nice.
Yeah, and that podcast was about tariffs, and that was with Ryan and Tom from White Rose Hobbies.
Hey, good job. You got that one right.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be okay.
I think you got it.
Well, I don't think I've got it permanently, but I think most of the time I'll get it right.
You are exceeding expectations.
And until May 31st, they actually have a 10% promo code that listeners to Modeler's Life can use. And that's right. And that promo code is
Tariff Drama 2025.
There you go. So if you go if you buy something online at White Rose Nurseries, and for the promo code
every time.
Okay. And well, no, that wasn't funny.
I was laughing. It was to me because you said nurseries again.
Oh, did I say nurseries?
You sure did.
And I just finished telling Derek. So.
I'm just in the green room. I'm staying in the green room.
No, you're in the studio now because you've been talking so much.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah. Da, 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 da.
I think they call this a failure to launch.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a failure to launch. Anyways, they have a 10% discount right now. If you go to White Rose Hobbies and buy something online and use the promo code
Tariff Drama 2025,
you will get 10% off on your order.
And that's like 10% off on like scale trains.
I know.
Things like that. It's a great deal.
So if you bought $1,000 worth of stuff, you get $100 off.
No other podcast is doing that.
Not that I know of right now. There are other podcasts. I did not know.
There are.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So Wally, let's start with the obvious.
Yes.
Let's go to this. Right now, you're building. What is it you're building? You're building a small layout.
I'm sorry.
In what scale?
Yeah, it's ON30. When I first met Bill, right? So when I first met you, Bill, on N-scale model railroading, I was getting back into it after several years with the N-scale, and then I wanted to dive into HO, so I did a little bit of that. But I've really grown fond of the ON30 because I've just found so many the people that I see in this scale are so creative, and when I kind of discovered it, I thought, I just felt like that, that was like really where I want to be, Anyway, so I'm just currently building a mini layout. It's about 36 by 24 inch, and it's a couple levels of track, real short radiuses, mining. It's like probably mining turn of the century in the Southwest. Wooden trestle bridges and tunnel portals and things like that. And so it's such a creative thing, and it's like you can work on this, but it won't take a lifetime to complete. And you can be super creative. Some of the guys that I've been inspired by that are doing this kind of stuff, they're not prototypical. And I always used to struggle with that. Like, do I need to be prototypical or just do something I really want to, if I like the way something looks, I don't care if it's not structurally sound or, it's a generic railroad or, I hate being confined that way. And I noticed that some of these guys, they're not, they're real creative. It's almost like their stuff sometimes almost looks a bit animated and like stuff you've never seen before, like, so.
Very Walt Disney.
My time's up.
Yeah.
I told you. See, I knew you were going to do it because I can keep talking.
That's the whole point.
On to the next guy.
That's the best part about having an audio podcast, talking. Do you hear that? Do you hear that, David Lund? The whole point of an audio podcast is audio.
Oh, poor David.
Well, I know. I just thought I'd throw that in. I know he's listening, so I thought I'd throw that in just for fun.
We miss you, David.
No, let's not get carried away.
Okay, I miss you, David.
Yeah, so let's back up a bit. Did you say you were out of the hobby for a long time?
Yeah, I started probably back, God, when I was about 11, I got an N-scale little model railroad out of the Sears catalog. It wasn't like an up and over foam thing with some houses in the middle. And then my older brother was in N-scale when I was a kid too. And I wasn't really gung-ho about it at that time, but it was around the time, I want to say about 1990. My dad, I'm the youngest of 9 kids, right? So,
Holy moly.
yeah, when everybody was moved out, even me, he said, I got a little extra money now, I want to build an HO layout. Will you help me? I'm like, sure. I didn't live too far. I had an apartment in Chicago where I grew up, and we were just a few blocks away. So went over there and would help him on Sundays. I kind of got into it, and I'm like, well, I'm in a little apartment. So back then I built like a 4-foot by 4-foot N scale layout, and I was really into it, and then I met my wife, got married, got a house. I was starting to build one in a spare bedroom, but then we had the second kid. So I had to kind of put everything in a box, and this is just the short version of all of this, the quick version, but and it stayed there for about 25, 30, maybe close to 30 years, but it was about 2019, late 2019, that my wife, she's from Iowa, and we were going to Iowa, and I was looking at the trains we see all the time, and I'm like, I think it's time I pull that stuff out of the box because, our kids were pretty much almost out of the house at that point. And so I pulled all the stuff out, and I got back into the hobby about that time. And then COVID hit, and I got to work from home. So at the same time, I was working on Model Railroad, and I was just getting back into the hobby that way. And that's when I found the N-scale model railroader page. I'm like, I want to see what people are doing now, because it's been years. And I remember back in the early 90s when it was too expensive for me to get DCC up and going, it was kind of a newer thing. And I was like, that was kind of the first area I wanted to go, and so I had guys on that N-scale model railroading group page on Facebook kind of helped me out and get me started that way, as far as wiring up the track and stuff.
So do we know?
And it took off.
Do we know specifically what page this is, so that we build? Do you know which page he's talking?
Is that what you're talking about?
Actually, N-scale model railroading. That's the group.
No, it's called N-scale model railroading. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and I always remember certain people like you, Bill, and then this other guy.
Bill's hard to forget.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
Okay, you do that.
Yeah.
See how that works out for you.
Probably not.
But
well.
I'm sure. So you guys obviously are in the model railroading yourself, correct?
No, not me.
No. no.
Derek?
Oh,
Yeah, but I'm in
I
the
know
correct
Bill
scale.
is.
So yes,
Lionel's definitely never been into model railroading.
No.
never was.
Oh,
It's
oh.
heavy sarcasm.
Well, I was just gonna say that like it's such a like one nice thing about the internet now. I know there's several things that aren't so great about it, but one nice thing is that it's great to be able to share and learn so quickly outside of only a model railroader magazine. I mean, it's really been handy, and just it's nice that people are fairly nice and just share their ideas and you share yours, and it's
Yeah,
great.
Facebook groups in particular are really great for
Yeah,
that. That's where I get a lot of my hobby enjoyment.
me too.
Because they're so specialized or they're so broad and usually so supportive, and you can learn a lot there.
And there's so many
Inspirational.
There's so many of them now, and I mean, you can get lost.
There are so many.
Yeah, and I'm only in a few, just one for each scale. But
so you've only been back in the hobby then, are you saying, since like 2020, 2022 or something like that?
Late 2019, yeah.
Okay,
early
so
2020.
And don't you have an end scale? Don't you have an end scale layout running around near the ceiling of your rec room there?
Correct. That was the layout that got me going again, because I had, years ago finished my basement, but it was mainly for my wife's daycare. And on the other end of the basement, just kind of left an open room that I knew maybe someday I can make an office out of it. Kids get older, I could put a wall up and a door. And that's what I ended up doing in mid 2019. And then when we were going through Iowa and I looked at the trains, I went, where would I put them? Because that's a small room, And I go, I'll just put them up by the ceiling. I remember being online and seeing a guy that had did something in his beautiful, huge office, but I think it was like a O scale, and he did something similar. So I just did a little N scale one, and it kind of took off. And I noticed that seems to be lately the big one that the big video on my YouTube channel that a lot of people are really starting to go to. And I think it's because, N scalers to begin with, they're just looking for, I mean, to begin with, they don't have as much space, or maybe, it's more affordable, right? So I think, I just mentioned to people, like, if you're an N scale and you're looking to get something up and out of the way, here's my idea, and if it helps you, So I have it. It runs around my office. It's probably about, I think it's maybe 10 foot wide by maybe, I don't know, 3 foot. It doesn't go across the whole ceiling because I have a slight drop, but it's probably like 10 wide, 10 long by about 4 deep. So it still gives me like 8. It gives me the.
You have a plan here on your video, and it goes the length of the room and the width of the room.
Yeah. And then there's a part, it worked out really well because there's the part of the ceiling that is lower because of the duct work when I had finished this basement. So it goes up to a drop ceiling, and it fit perfect in there. The only tricky thing that the place I started was I had to cut a hole through the storage to make a certain turn. So that was getting through the studs was tricky. But once I did it, I'm like, all right, this is going to work.
So anybody out there that's interested in this, if they go to Wally's Model Railroading on YouTube and search shelf layout in N scale, there is a video that is 20 minutes long about this N scale layout that's on a shelf, and it's really well done, like really well done.
Thank you. I kind of wanted it to blend in originally, but then of course I had to add scenery. It was just, and getting back to as long as I was away, the reason I did this was I had originally pulled out all my old stuff and just used all of it, my old train cars, just so I could watch them run around in circles, And then I was like, so after that, it was like, okay, now I need to build the end-to-end switching layout I always wanted to build. So that was next.
So this N scale layout that runs around the room, it's completely finished and scenic, is it not?
Correct. It is now, yes. Yeah.
So
that wasn't the intention.
That wasn't the intention.
Right. Yeah, that's not even convincing to me anymore. because I just want to say that, well, if you go to the video and you see it, the shelf is painted the same color as the walls, and I was going to paint the wall behind the train tracks the same color as the wall, but instead, of course, I painted it blue, and then from there it just wait, there's got to be some buildings in there, some mountains, So yeah, it is kind of funny that it just kept going, but
Yeah, and it's a layout and so how much clearance is there between the layout and the ceiling?
I think it was approximately 7 to 9 inches.
Okay.
I can't get over there right now, but I'm thinking probably that.
Roughly. Yeah, we just need roughly.
Yeah.
And then just slightly less than a foot.
Hold on a second. I'm looking at it now. It's actually 7. It's like 6.5, 7 inches. Yeah. It's N scale, so you can really fit a lot in that.
Well, I understand, but really, what's the point of N scale?
Well,
me personally, what I heard, it was dead. Like I've heard it was N scale was dead, but apparently I was mistaken. It's for some people it's thriving. Marcus Newbacher.
Yeah, I really think a lot of the social networking is what's bringing it back.
Yeah,
I mean, truly.
The social networking part of model railroading is what's going to make this hobby explode, and we're all going to be covered in model railroad goo.
Now we just got to get the local hobby shops up and going again, but that's probably never going to happen.
That is never going to happen unless you go to White Rose Hobbies in York, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
If you live in York, Pennsylvania, problem solved.
Problem solved. And if not, just go online and purchase from them directly and get a 10% discount with the code
Tariff Drama 2025
until May 31st.
I will be definitely looking into that.
All right.
After we're done. That sounds
one
great.
Customer. There we go. So, Wally, we talked about the N scale layout, and I think we'll get to the ON30 layout, but I also see an HO layout on your YouTube page.
Yeah. Yep. It's basically about a 9 foot long by 8 foot deep switching yard. And what got me, I'll tell you, can I just briefly say what got me into doing that?
No, we don't have enough time.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, the funny thing is, too, like
I think he's going to tell us anyways.
Well, okay.
I'm kidding.
I knew it. It's because it's the evolution and the me going, insane over the last 5 years now. I have the one up by the ceiling, and then so what happened was I started really getting into the DCC conversions. Like I got on eBay for a while, and you'll see a lot of those on the channel. But the reason I'm saying this is because that's kind of how the evolution of HO came about. Because, man, I can't believe I put a speaker and a decoder into a Bachmann 44-tonner N-scale locomotive. When I did that, and then I did a few more, I went, this is a lot of fun, but it's killing my eyes. And it's hard to squeeze. It's hard to squeeze this stuff in these. And I kept, I started looking into, because I always liked the small critter locomotives. I always have. And I noticed that Bachmann had made a really cool 45-tonner and a 44-tonner and started converting those. So last year, pretty much all I did in the hobby was convert several HO locomotives that were once DCC after, purchasing older used locomotives off of eBay and converting them. And a couple I was able to actually sell and do a whole paint schematic. I would totally make the whole thing over, and I was getting into that, and it was a lot of fun. Very educational. I was never much of a solderer, and I got better at it and installed different lights and LEDs. And that's how I got into the HO. And here I was, all I had was a small little test track that was like, I don't know, like 18 inches long or less probably, but that was an HO and N scale. And I just wanted to be able to do more, and I started creating this longer HO switching layout, which since the ON30 explosion is kind of sitting still, and I feel bad. I feel like I've neglected it, but that layout has. I'm sorry, Bill. That layout was then now another exploration, in because I'm just going through learning and challenging modes lately.
Okay. Take a breath for a second. Take a drink.
Oh yeah, I do have one here.
Yeah, that boy. So Bill and Derek.
Yes, Lionel.
Yes, sir.
I think I'm about to ask one of those questions that is like, can kind of sound rude, but it's not intended to be rude. Bill, or Wally, you have to kind of be quiet when you're sitting still. Stop making noise.
Put the tape measure down.
Yeah, put the tape measure down.
That's exactly right.
Put the tape measure. Yeah, put the tape measure down because we can hear you. See, when you hear your first interview on the podcast, you're going to be saying, "What's all that noise in the background?" And I'll be able to tell you, it's Wally.
It's not us. It's that guy.
Yeah. So the fascinating thing, Derek and Bill, that I'm fascinated by is here's a fella that was basically out of the hobby. It sounds like all through the 80s and 90s, or the 90s and the early 2000s. And he comes back to the hobby, and yet what he has done seems to be by today's standards. He seems to have picked up today's standards very quickly. Like you look at this switching layout, the fascia is beautiful, the modeling is beautiful. Like, do you have some sort of? You seem to have like a bit of an artistic talent. Do you have that, Wally, or do you know?
I went to my education in college was a graphic illustrator. So I used to do a lot of I am still a designer. I'm a 3D designer now. I create collectible items for Disney and stuff like that. Making the prototypes now in 3D, but in the early days I did finished illustration.
Time out.
Told you I talk too much.
No, yeah, it's not that you talk too much; it's that you're too interesting.
Boy. Well, you're the only guys that'll listen. So. Around here, it's old news.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
my kids, my wife.
It'll be new news for everybody that's listening. Okay. Everybody's going to go to your YouTube page, Wally's Model Railroading, and like I say, we're going to double the number of subscribers and everything. So you're going to have to be on the ball. So. You do 3D designs for Disney?
Yeah, and some of that I can't tell you.
Well, I don't expect you to tell us things that you can't tell us, but if you could give us a very
short answer,
an overview of like you can't say. Correct me, Bill and Derek. Correct me if this statement is wrong. You can't say I 3D design stuff for Disney and then just carry on like as if you didn't say anything.
Just steamroll right back.
Yeah. I'm not surprised by anything at this point.
Yeah. By the way, I do this really awesome thing. Oh, and something else.
Yeah. It's like saying, well, I played for the Toronto Maple Leafs for 10 years and I was the leading scorer for 5 of those years. But anyways, I have a Ford dealership.
That's the best one yet. Oh my gosh! Oh yes.
Boy, I'm gonna get a whole bunch of Wallies in the car. So what can you tell? So how long have you? So are you an independent contractor that is contracted by Disney to create things?
No. So I work for. I don't know if you've heard the Bradford Exchange. I work full time for the Bradford Exchange.
Well, of course you do. Well, of course
we do
does.
collect.
Of course.
Well, we do a whole bunch of different stuff, not just Disney. We do a lot of sports figures. We used to do a lot of Thomas Kincaid in the day, plates. I've been with them about almost 23 years now. And yeah.
All right. Stop again. I have to talk to Derek.
I thought you were going to say that.
I have to talk to Derek and Bill.
Okay.
Bill?
Yes, sir.
The next time you get a guest, ask some questions before you...
I will. I'll thoroughly vet them first.
He works for the Bradford Exchange. Well, of course he works for the Bradford.
Of course.
What else would he be doing?
Well, no, I'm kidding.
So you create things for the Bradford Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you're a designer. You come up with designs, and then because I know of the Bradford Exchange, it sells all kinds of useless trinkets. It sells a lot of really cool stuff. Like I'm looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, you're on there now. Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs ring from the Bradford Exchange. It's
they do a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, they do a lot of really cool stuff. And Bradford Exchange is a very well-known company. So how does a guy end up as a designer for the Bradford Exchange?
Well, I'm not technically. I'll keep it short. I'm not actually a designer, which they call developers. Well, yes, they call us designers, but in the day we were actually. I don't know what you'd call us today, but they have developers that give us sketches, and then we work off of those to create the finished product for them. So I guess we're all designers in a sense. But how I come to get it was, well, like I was going to say, like my early years, I'm a traditional artist by trade. I had to learn the computer. So um, years ago, when I was I was an independent contractor for about 8 years, way back in the 90s, and did everything traditionally and had to actually switch over to the computer, and that cost a fortune. But that's kind of how I got into the area of computers. And then I was doing I used to do a lot of storyboards for commercials here in Chicago, which I'm sure you guys know. It was huge. It still probably is a big industry here, but
commercials in Chicago is a big industry, isn't it?
Yeah. We used to do storyboards like.
Right. Can you just hang on? I want to ask Bill and Derek a question.
Okay.
Can I ask you two guys a question? Okay. Why can't either of you be this interesting?
I've been asking myself that for the past 25 minutes.
I'm too stunned to speak.
Me too. This is all beginning to make sense to me now. Well, sort of. Okay. So yes, Chicago is, and I think we learned. Who did we learn that from? Was it from David Lund that told us that, or was it somebody else? Somebody told us about the fact that Chicago was a major hub for creating TV commercials and what have you.
I don't think I knew that.
Okay, somebody told us. I forget who it was. Is that correct, Wally?
I couldn't tell you if it is today. I'm guessing it is. Like I said, I've been out of it for about 23 years.
Right, okay, but it was at one time for you anyways.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think it dated back to the 50s up until I left in the early 90s, mid-90s.
All right, let's get back to your model railroading because we're running out of time and we have lots of questions. So
sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead, Derek.
Well, I was going to ask, so, okay, you're in N scale, you're in HO scale, you're in ON30. What made you think, hey, I've been back in the hobby for 2 or 3 years, let me start a YouTube channel? Like, what was the thought? Was there a thought process, or did you just decide to pick up and start filming one day?
That's it. That is how it started, yes. I thought there's other people sharing, I'll just share, but it was never my intention to, increase any viewing or anything like that. I was just sharing that way because I noticed other people kind of were sharing
their stuff, and then you enjoy sharing what you've done, which I think is a huge benefit of the new world for social media and model railroading is the ability to share what you've done is very, very cool.
Yeah, I mean, I try to just do that. I mean, but so I started to do a lot more videos when I started doing conversions because before I started actually doing my own conversions, I saw a guy online that has a YouTube channel. It's really good. And I had got in touch with him, see if he could convert one of mine. And then he goes, you ought to give it a try. And I was like, okay. So I did. And I'm like, wow, this isn't so bad. So then the YouTube thing kind of took off from there that's why most of my stuff is conversions.
Who is this other channel?
It's been a while.
Okay.
I don't know exactly. I can't think of it exactly right offhand.
Okay, well,
Sorry about
if you
that.
do think of it, send me a message and we'll include it in your little write-up that goes with the
Okay.
podcast. That would be cool too.
But I think it's interesting to me that you're so interested in DCC installs.
I know.
But yet, when I watched the video that Lionel sent me, with the invite to join, it was a very artistic experience of you carving foam into mountains that looked very artistic, almost Malcolm Furlow-esque. And so I'm having trouble understanding how you can be so mechanically minded and so artistically minded in the same hobby. I feel like that's a rare combination.
Do you know a guy named Scott Lister?
Oh,
I don't.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah, Scott is very mechanically minded and very artistically minded too. Now he's also an incredibly annoying human being, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, who's threatening to tear out his layout?
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
have you intervened there, Lionel?
Yeah, I'm currently intervening.
Yeah, we need you to intervene there. Yeah,
I know he's like nuts. So yeah, that's a great question because converting an old Bachmann 44 tonner to DCC is no easy. Like I wouldn't even consider doing that. Like, how did you? You saw some YouTube videos and just said, "Well, I'm going to try doing this."
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just the challenge of it, like maybe, I don't know. I think that's where a lot of things stem from for me. Like, oh, I've never done that. I want to do that.
Okay.
Can I make an observation that is not meant to be judgmental about anybody?
Sure.
I think it's just, I feel like Wally's not afraid of trying stuff. And I think that's an important comparison for other modelers, because I know I get like, I can't possibly convert a 44 tonner to DCC and sound. I barely want to do it to locomotives that are DCC ready. And he's just like, I'm just going to jump in and do it and try to do the hardest possible conversion I can think of.
Yeah,
I think there's something admirable about that.
Well, it's incredibly admirable.
Thank you.
And it's because this is not this converting these old Bachmann 44 tonners to DCC is not an easy task. Bill, can I ask you a question?
Sure can.
Do you understand the basic principles of an audio podcast?
I do. Okay. And I was going to say, you know what? I wish I had a little more of that. Just jump right in with both feet. Because I have a Proto 2000 SW1200 that I am eager to convert to DCC, and I've kind of had cold feet about it. I'm not going to lie.
Well, sure. Like, you're kidding.
I think I have one of those on my YouTube channel, to be honest with you.
Maybe I should watch your video.
It sounds familiar. It sounds like it's, I don't know what version or how old it is, but I mean, I'm still learning some of the different levels of those locomotives.
You are not. You got it all figured out already.
No. There's a lot I don't know.
This Bachmann 44 tonner makeover conversion with weathering from a year ago, I highly recommend that everybody go look at it because this is a beautiful locomotive. So when you painted it, did you use an airbrush?
I did on that. Are you looking at the one that has the like caution stripes on it?
Yeah, it's the yellow and black one.
Yeah,
number 67 or whatever it is, or 60 something.
Yeah, that one. That was actually the most fun to do because I couldn't find a locomotive like that. So yeah, I airbrushed that one and put the decals on, the caution stripes, and then I'd seen a photograph of some really cool older 44 tonners. If you're looking at that one, I think that's the one with the ladders I added on to both sides.
Yes,
like ladders on the ends.
It's a beautiful locomotive. Now, you said you sold some of these? Is this one of the ones you sold?
No, I have that one. I really like that one.
Well, yeah, it's a beautiful locomotive. Before we get far off track, because we are running out of time. The network only gives us so much time. We're allotted only so much time. I want to get to this ON3 layout. I think we should spend some time on this ON3 layout because this is absolutely spectacular. Now, the question I have for you is, have you ever heard of a gentleman named Malcolm Furlow?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Wow. Okay.
So you need to look up in the early 80s, Malcolm Furlow, model railroader, and this is exactly what he did. He built these kind of Old West diorama / layouts that were just fantastic with construction and structures and everything like this. And this is very Malcolm Furlow-esque. So where did you get the idea to create this ON3 layout? What did you say it was? 24 by 36 inches, something like that?
Yeah. There's two guys online that, at the beginning of the year turned me on to this kind of thing. One of them was Dave Meek. He has a YouTube channel, and I'll bet a lot of your listeners know who that guy is. And then there's another guy, Gary Beatty, who's very creative. I mean, this guy, you ought to take a look at this guy online.
Okay,
but he creates.
Now slow down. So Gary Beatty, as in Beatty.
Correct.
So he has a YouTube channel. What's it called?
I don't know if I don't think he does, but he is. So he has.
You can't
Facebook
say to people.
pages.
Okay, we got to find these things because people are listening to this from all around the world, and they're going to go, and they're going to want to know how to find this stuff.
Well, one of his layouts. He has a page called Puerto Baracho Railway.
Sure. Oh, I won't have any trouble spelling.
I don't know how to. He's
all right. Really time out. This is a bit, right, Bill? Bill, this is a bit. You set me up here.
You know what I did? I told him at 54 minutes, just lay into him.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe you can send me the links to these two fellas, whether they have YouTube channels or Facebook pages, and I can also include that for people to find on the website. Could you do that?
Hey, Lionel, if you put Gary Beatty Model Railroad into YouTube, you'll see somebody else's video of one of his layouts from Massey Media. Massey Media has 709,000 subscribers.
Wow. Okay, don't get ahead of me now.
And this just in. I just worked the Google on the Internet Machine and just searched Gary Beatty Model Railroad. And the very first video that pops up is the Puerto Baracho Open House YouTube video.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And Dave Meeks, too, he has a really cool YouTube channel. His is called, I'm looking it up right now, Thunder Mesa Studio.
Oh yeah, I actually want to interview him.
Yeah, and these are guys I did not know this would happen, but in the last about 3 months ago, I've conversed with both of them because they were on these Facebook pages. I had no idea they would be. So It's kind of neat, and they've been very complimentary, and I love their work, and I just let them know that right away. Yeah, they're really inspirational. But that's where I got the idea for the small layouts.
Massey Media has all kinds of videos, and it's all train stuff. Is it, Derek? It looks like
it. Yeah, it looks like it.
Hey, Derek.
Wally, that's a great thing about this hobby that I found is you can talk to these people that are
that's
very prolific, and they're very willing to help and talk and everything like that.
Yep. I mean, that's when you know. And I've always looked at other creative people that way. Like, usually they're really, really nice people, like they're willing to share what they do, They're not like so caught up in, just what they're doing and not want to share anything. They're just, they like that other people, and they like learning from other people too, still, no matter how successful they are at it. It's kind of neat.
All right. So let's get back to this. You're going to have to be on the podcast again, I think.
I would love to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see how this turned out first. This is, we got to get it. We got to be more in depth about this particular, because this is like, he never even heard of Malcolm Furlow, and he's basically building a Malcolm Furlow layout. He was a pioneer in the hobby in this particular thing. And
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. I know there's not much of him online, but he went on to be a Western artist, is what he went on to make his,
that's neat.
Yeah, I know.
Lionel, were you at MR when he was on the scene?
I was right at the end. It was right at very, 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 just very briefly. I think I met him once or twice.
I feel like
that's cool.
Not many people can say they've met Malcolm Furlow.
That's not many people can say they met Lynn Westcott either, and that was cool.
That's a story.
That's something.
Yeah. or bought Ellen McClellan a dozen donuts
to weasel your way into recession.
Yeah, exactly.
You are the Forrest Gump of model railroading.
Yeah, there you go. I can take that as a compliment.
Life is like a box of donuts.
Yeah, life is like a box of donuts. You just never know what you're going to get. And Wally doesn't even know that he's like, I shouldn't even be talking to him. He shouldn't even be stressing me out like this. I think we'll save that little nugget till we get off the air. So all right. So did these fellas? Is there instructional videos somewhere on the online that helped you figure this out? Because it looks like it's layers of foam that is hand carved. Like,
well, years ago when I had my 4 foot by 4 foot N scale layout, I had used similar type of foam, but I've done it before. I did it years ago in the early 90s, but what inspired me to do it again and learn even further techniques was Dave Meek of Thunder Mesa Studio. Dave Meek, he's pretty. He actually, I mean, it was pretty cool. The little tools and tricks he had. I'm like, oh my god, this is great. You know, I'm like, oh, I always wondered how you could do this and that. One of his tricks is that he uses a heat gun after he's done, sculpting and cutting it up and everything, and the heat gun just melds everything together, and it just looks even more. Yeah, so,
I've never heard of that technique before. I've heard of melting with a heat knife, but not the contour. Interesting.
I mean, you don't hit it for too long. You just it kind of gets rid of all the rough, the dusty and all the rough stuff on there, and it kind of melds it together, makes it look even more like rock and whatever. And stuff like that. But yeah, that's where I got a lot of some of the tips. And then Gary Beatty gave me a tip. I'm working on some of the trestle bridges right now. And he offered a suggestion on one of them. He goes, they're great. It was, he had a great idea for one, and he had done one, and he sent me some photos. But yeah, I mean, I just, just to finish off whatever, it's like the thing that like I said at the beginning is these guys are so creative. I mean, Gary carves his figures out of foam. He makes the really cool little caricature Hispanic figures in his Puerto Borracho. One guy's sleeping. His stuff is very humorous, and he's won awards for his layouts just because they're so original. And he builds the stucco, Southwestern buildings out of foam. I haven't even gone that far yet, but I look at his stuff and I think, man, that had to take a while to do all that,
Lionel?
Yeah.
Did I hear that somebody is carving figures out of blocks of foam?
Yeah, I think I thought I heard that, but I closed my mind. Yeah, I didn't want
to. This was a good last podcast.
Smash my head against the floor.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Exactly.
I think it's time to call it, guys. This is
okay.
Now I'm kind of wishing that doctor didn't know what he was doing.
Right. Maybe he should have used.
I think I know what you mean.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Wally, you are a charm to talk to.
Thank you.
I have really enjoyed this, and we're going to have to get you back on to talk some more about everything that you've done, because everything that you do is so talented.
I really appreciate that. That's fair. Thank you.
And your energy is just it's contagious.
I have a question looking at your ON3 layout, because I think it's an important question for the hobby. I've kind of been building a couple of things just for the heck of it, because I just felt like it. And I was thinking to myself, I have absolutely no use for these models that I'm building, but I just felt like building something. So a question I have for you, Wally, is, it seems like this ON30 layout is the only reason you're building it is to do it.
Yes. Yep. I was getting bored. I was like, I didn't know what else to do in the hobby.
Yeah, well,
like you just said, you're just kind of doing things just to stay creative, and like you said with the stuff you're doing, and I think that's what's got me into this.
Yeah, well, those old Bachmann 44-tonner DCC conversions, they are boring. After about the fifth one, you've had just about enough of that you can.
Absolute snooze.
Yeah, total snooze fest. That's what it is. Well, mackerel. I don't even.
Well, I can say this. If anybody needs work done, I'll do it for them on the side.
Yeah, have you started doing that? Like doing work for people on the side?
I tried, but no, nobody wants to bite. I guess I'm not that. I'm not even in a group. I'm trying to get into like a model railroad group around my area here, and I keep putting it off.
Well, where do you live exactly? Not exactly, roughly.
No, I know. Northwest of Chicago, like about 40 miles out now in suburbs.
Okay.
That's the suburbs. That's right. I don't have to tell you guys. You're from out east.
Yeah.
You want to get to the country, you got to go 80 miles.
Derek?
Yes.
Who is that quarterback that the Chicago Bears had? Matt Trulinski?
Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, Mitch Trubisky, yeah.
Yes, Mitch Trubisky. Did you know that during COVID, if you wanted to know how far to stand from somebody during COVID, you just watched Mitch Trubisky throw a pass, and he would miss the distance he missed by was how far you stood away from somebody for COVID.
Somewhere Mitch Trubisky is just earning his paycheck as the backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills.
I know.
He's just taking a cheap shot on a model railroading podcast.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I'm sorry, Mitch. You're out there just enjoying
from a
the
guy
good
that's
life.
like literally 70 miles away as the crow flies.
Yeah, right. Which is also about how close he could pass the ball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm sorry, Mitch, if you're listening to this.
Well, I thought Bob Avellini was worse, but you guys, I don't know.
Well, all right.
Lionel might know that name.
Bob Travellini? Who was he?
Avellini. He was the quarterback for the Bears in the 70s.
Oh,
he was so bad when we were nothing.
Yeah. Oh, we've had our share of bad quarterbacks in Buffalo.
When was the last time the Bears had a good quarterback? I mean, are we talking Jay Cutler?
No.
I mean, for like
was he
a game or two?
Was he? Yeah, he was literally a game or two. I mean, the last time they had a guy that commanded the field was McMahon. I mean, that's
what I say.
Yeah, that's the last time they had a guy that actually commanded the field.
I think Caleb Williams can turn into something if they could get an offensive line to block.
I know.
That's right. If he could spend less time on his back and more time throwing the ball.
Yep.
When you have a quarterback who likes to sit back there and wait, you probably should have an offensive line to block him for a little bit.
That's how I describe my high school football career. And when I was in grade 10, our art teacher decided we had to have a football team. Now, we were a high school of 550 kids, but we had to have a football team. And I was the starting middle linebacker. And I spent most of my time at 5'8.5" staring at the sky. As people just crushed me going by.
Oh, man.
Tackle him low.
The art teacher thought you should have a football team?
Yeah, the art teacher. Mr.
That's a pretty cool art teacher.
He was the coolest teacher in the whole school, Mr. MacArthur. Anyways, we're done.
I was going to say he looked out the window and saw the grass and the trees, and you're thinking he was going to think of this beautiful piece of art, and he goes, "There's so much grass out there. We got to have a football team."
Yeah, the problem was we were too close. The problem was we were too close to Toronto, so some of the teams we had to play were like,
oh wow,
from schools of 2,000 and 3,000 kids, and we had 550 kids, and it was embarrassing. Thank God I could play hockey.
Cool, that's cool.
All right, that's it. We're done. Derek, can you give out our email address?
Yes, I can. If you would like to reach out to us and tell us how much you loved the podcast or how much you hated the podcast, or if you want to reach out to us to schedule an appointment with Wally to get some DCC installed in your old Dodge 44 tonners, also send us an email, and we'll take our fee, and then we'll give the rest of the fee on to Wally. So
yeah.
Well, there you go.
If you would like to reach out, you can do that via email, and it's modellerslife@gmail.com. That's modeler with one L, like lock sound, not two L's, like Wally.
Oh, nice.
Beautiful.
Nice. Very well done. We're going to have to do some more. And if you miss that email address, if you go to our website, amodelerslife.com, and click on the picture of the moderately agitated male boy in a particularly agitated state, boom, the address is already filled out for you and you're ready to go. And if you like this podcast, it's on the free channel on Monday, but you'd like twice as much podcasting a week, you can click on our link on Patreon, also on the website. And for just a few cents a day, you can get twice as much podcasting every week, once on Monday and once on Tuesday. Tuesday is more of our back porch, uncensored, have fun, have a few wobbly pops, just a fun discussion about whatever we're talking about at the time. And it's just a fun podcast to listen to. I think that's the best way to describe it.
And
I agree.
And
you get access to our Wednesday community.
That's right. And the best part about that is on every Wednesday, we have a chat group that everybody enjoys, and there'll be 40 or 50 people go through there on a night, and there's always something going on, and lots of people chatting and sharing ideas. To talk about sharing ideas, everybody's always sharing ideas over there, and that's a fun thing to do. And then if you go to the T-shirt level, Wally, then you're entered into the game that is sweeping the globe, called Hey Dude, Where's My Shirt? 928 subscribers. We got to get that to like 1,500. I'm telling everybody, if you go to Wally's model YouTube channel, let's start again. If you go to Wally's YouTube channel, Wally's Model Railroading, you will not be disappointed. There is all kinds of cool stuff on there. Really cool stuff. And I think you'll be inspired to build an ON3 layout. Man, that I'm inspired to do that. I'd love to see a 44. Too bad they don't make a 44 tonner in ON3. That'd be cool.
ON30. I just wanted to.
ON30, yeah, right.
Yeah.
But it's not
I
white.
feel like
It's not
Scott
white.
Lister can build you one.
Yeah, we should put Scott Lister onto this. He'd love doing this.
Oh, yeah.
This is right up his alley. What do you think, Bill?
He's got nothing else going on, so yeah, he should dive right in.
Yeah, there you go. Anyways, yeah, if you go to the T-shirt level, you're entered into the contest. Hey, dude, where's my shirt? Everybody gets a T-shirt that's only available to Patreon members, and everybody gets their shirt. The fun part is, when do you get your shirt?
I am currently in that contest right now.
Yeah, and it's exciting, isn't it?
I stare at my mailbox as if I'm waiting for a phone call every day. I have a black and white 8x10 of my mailbox.
There you
and
go.
I just stare at it.
You try to mentally get it to something to appear.
Exactly.
I think that's it. I think we've covered everything, haven't we, gentlemen?
I think so.
All right. Now, Wally, we got a really difficult job for you. At the appropriate moment, we need you to say happy rails to you.
Okay.
Now, the key to this is there's no singing, there's no dancing, there's no interpretation of any kind. It's simply you say, with enthusiasm, you say, happy rails to you. Do you think you can handle that?
I think so. I think I can do it better than you. Because you just said happy rails to you.
My goodness.
And after an hour, Wally got cheeky.
It took a while. I'm warming up.
And he was never invited back.
Yeah, and we never heard from Wally again.
This
Do you have a way to record this podcast, Wally?
Yes, exactly. This one's going right in the drawer.
Yeah. This one's we end up behind the filing cabinet. Years from now, somebody will find the tapes. Well, Wally, as we close the barn doors on another episode of A Modeler's Life, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
I forgot. What is it?
That wasn't it.
Happy rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of a Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.